Welcome, Degens, to another edition of the Degen Docs. That is right, folks. We hope you're jacked up for some Monday Night Football because we're talking Monday Night Football preview. We're going through an injury rundown, all the biggest names that are going to impact this next week. Of course, we got some Warriors, Wussies, waiver wire targets, and of course, we are ending with some actionable action. We are talking about our early line locks, what we like, what we want to get money on right now. So, folks, saddle up, and let's get this thing ready to roll. This NFL Week 6 Fantasy Football and Betting Preview edition of the Degen Docs on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. So sign up with promo code SGPNDOC to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks, I'm one of your hosts, the Degen Doc, the OG here, and I'm joined by my co-host, my brother in degeneracy, Professor Locks himself, Mr. Derek Bennett. How are we doing tonight, brother?
We're surviving. I don't know if we're thriving after the ass kicking that we took yesterday, but overall pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. We got another game coming up to start our revenge tour, like we were talking about earlier today. This weekend was a little rough.
It was a little rough. Before we get into that, of course, as always, we're going to start this off with a nice cheers because it is a new day. The NFL gives us something. So cheers, my friends, my fellow Degens. As we
hey, I see you've switched back to the good old whiskey over there.
We need the mojo back. Look, we had a great month of September. We were crushing it. We were feeling too good. And October came, and Mr. NFL himself came down and kicked us in the dick.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And look, folks, we know maybe you had a great NFL Sunday. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you were after some of our picks, and you were like, damn, fucking getting kicked in the dick. Well, now's your time because we are debuting a new segment, and it is the bitching hour. That is right, folks. We're going to take a little time to just throw somebody in locker, bitch and complain about some of the bullshit we've dealt with this last week in the NFL. So feel free in the comments, jump in the comments. Let us know what your worst beat was, who you want to throw in a locker, who you want to bitch about. We've only got to do it for a little bit of time because we got to move on and we got to get to making some money. But hey,
right.
Now's your time to bitch. So I will open the floor, my friend. What do you want to talk about in this bitching hour?
First, Deshaun Watson should not be an NFL quarterback.
Shouldn't be a college. He shouldn't be a high school quarterback.
Smokes. You know, that Cleveland defense heading into the season, you know, we were thinking, hey, pretty good defense last year. Didn't really lose many guys. Basically running it back. Offensively, we know that they've been beat up front. But the dude basically just walked off the field and said, fuck it. You know, Stefanski, I know you want to go for it on fourth down. I'm done. I'm tired of getting hit. I'm just basically a pussy at this point. So I don't know what actually happened with the Cleveland defense. If it's just because, you know, it's hard to play 20 series in a game because your offense can't get off or can't continue to build momentum and make actual drives and you know, get past 3 downs or what. But holy smokes.
Yeah, no, I
would never allow me to take the Browns anything.
The Browns are absolutely on our do not bet list because I'm going to join you there. You know, you had the Browns, which that never had a chance in hell, let's be honest. But I had the under 43.5 thinking, you know, knowing the Browns' ineptitude on offense, but they have supposedly a solid defense. But man, oh man, Deshaun Watson and that offense, like you said, was so bad that they just couldn't get any rest. I didn't account for him being that bad and the defense being tired. You know what? Actually, I'm going to bet even more because they didn't fucking score until the very last drive one of the last drives they had, they decided to score a touchdown. After sucking all day, after making this game go out of hand, they decided to, of course, score a touchdown, the final points to bust the over. And, you know, 3 out of my 4 locks, obviously the one that hit does not count there, but 3 out of the 4, they came down to the last drive. We had Jets money line. We had Pittsburgh. Look, Jets money line, I'm not going to complain about. You got me there. You were on the right side of that game. Even though the Jets had a chance going down late, they got outplayed.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers anymore. I think that's abundantly clear.
Sure.
But that Pittsburgh game, man. Let's just quickly pivot really quick to one of the best plays that I've ever seen. And I of course was sweating this out live despite the delay because I was like, you know what? Nah, just a little bit of a deep. This fucking play. Hold on. I want context here. Obviously, it's game touchdown wins. They're on the 1 fucking yard.
Yep.
Look at Landon fucking Robert.
Boom.
One of the best plays I've ever seen. I gotta watch it one more time.
He's the deepest guy in the
look at it. Yeah, look where he starts.
He's the deepest man in the end zone. Gets a running start, and I think the 250-pound linebacker won that one.
Troy Polamalu has to be absolutely smiling.
Oh, for sure.
Wherever he is.
For sure.
That was one of the best plays that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it time to move on, or do we have more gripes?
Give me one more.
All right.
The Cincinnati Bengals defense.
Oh, that game was brutal.
The Cincinnati Bengals defense, we know that they don't show up. But you go into overtime, you allow Baltimore to come back. At one point, I think, had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter a couple different times. But you allow them to come back, kick a field goal to take it to overtime. And then you don't allow your best player to do what he does best and continue a drive with 2 stud wide receivers that have been making plays all day. You hand the ball off to Zach Moss 3 times. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Zach Taylor, that was a terrible move, man. He had like 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, and you're not going to let him throw
he threw for 400 yards. Jamar Chase had 193 yards and 10 catches and two tutties, I think. It's like, what are we doing?
Absolutely.
Zach Moss has not proven that he can be the guy there in Cincinnati.
Evan McPherson,
again.
Money Mac is a good kicker coming out of my Florida Gators, but still, what are we doing? It's a 50-something yarder. Good. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, that was way too fast.
You put your faith in, what should be not necessarily an easy kick, but a very doable kick, and you don't even get the damn kick off because the holder dropped the fucking ball.
Yeah. Like, no, you definitely have a reason to be mad about anyone who was on Bengals money line, Bengals plus 2.5, whatever it was. You definitely have a reason to bitch there. Okay. We're going to move out of the bitching hour, and let's just talk big takeaways for a second. I'm going to ask you, who is the best and the worst team in the NFL right now?
Ooh.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first for that one.
All right. Best team in the NFL right now, 100% has to be the Minnesota Vikings. The Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings with 0 superstars on defense. Right now, from what they've shown me, they have absolutely put the best 5 games together out of any team. And trust me, I did not think this was the thing. I did not want to believe it at first. I jumped on their bandwagon last week, but clearly I doubted them, thinking the Jets were gonna get them.
Sure.
Even when Darnold started to crumble, that defense stepped up. And, look, I know Aaron Jones going out. If Aaron Jones doesn't go out of the game, they probably rout the Jets. But I think the Minnesota Vikings, what they've been able to do, Brian Flores and that defense, like that has been extremely impressive to me. So the Minnesota Vikings for me are the best team in the NFL, and the worst team in the NFL are the Cleveland Browns. They're the Cleveland Browns. I don't understand. Who did they beat? Was it Jacksonville? No.
I think it was Jacksonville.
It was Jacksonville who just picked up their last one. See, they beat Jackson. Yeah, no, I think I still go Cleveland as the worst team in the NFL right now with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. With anybody else at quarterback, I don't think that's the same. All right, who's your best and worst team?
Yeah, and this is painful. I was going back and forth between Minnesota and this other team that I just hate to say it, but the Baltimore Ravens, dude, that offense is humming. Lamar Jackson coming off an MVP year looks even better this year. Everybody made a big
good.
deal that he dropped 10 or 15 pounds in the offseason. I don't know. He was a stick to begin with, but that dude is absolutely insane what he's doing behind center. They've obviously figured out how to get King Henry going, especially with Ricard kind of in between those two. And obviously defensively, maybe not the same rough and tough Baltimore defense that we're used to seeing, but damn, that offense, good luck slowing them down.
Yeah. I agree with the offense there. All right, who's your worst team?
Yeah, worst team, I would probably either go with the Browns or another team that kind of broke my heart this weekend, and that's the New England Patriots. Like,
they
holy
suck.
smuck. Yeah,
they got no offensive line now.
They don't have their offense.
They may be starting, though.
Their offense sucks. Their defense is meh. But again, you lose to a Miami team that has been sputtering offensively for 3 straight weeks, basically. So, I think it's one of those things that put them head to head. I would probably take the Browns. And again, talk me out of that. But I would probably take the Browns against New England, and I would probably take the Ravens against Minnesota. But, Minnesota has been really playing very well so far, and hopefully that they continue that. But I don't know if necessarily I would take them over the Ravens at this point.
We'll see, man. That Ravens defense is definitely suspect to me.
No doubt.
All right, let's go ahead and move right on. We're going to get to our Monday Night Football best bets, obviously, before this game kicks off here in about 30 minutes.
Yep.
But before we do that, folks, let me tell you about some of the things we got going over here at SGPN. First off, we want to thank you for, as always, tuning in to the Degen Docs, to what you're listening to right now. If you can head to Spotify and give us a 5-star rating, only you can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. Look, folks, obviously, as a smaller brand, it's our first season. Any help, any likes, any subscribes, anything, comments, feedback. Hey, I think you guys should do this. I want you to talk about this. Let us know. We're open to it. We want to, again, the goal,
For sure,
create a little Degen family, make some money, and have fun shooting the shit and talking ball. And then to something a little bit more serious here. We talked about this last week. We're going to talk about it again because this is continuing. Hurricane Helene, devastating to the people of Western North Carolina. SGPN has stepped up. We're teaming with a local charity, mountainprojects.org, to help give back. The biggest donation, if you want to be a big baller and donate, you will earn a guest spot on the College Football Pick Show, on the flagship show, the main sports gambling podcast, and a ton of gear will hook you up. So go to mountainprojects.org and hit the FUD support. Help out today. We appreciate it. And then, hey, if money's tight, we understand. If you could just, spread awareness, that works too. If it just gets to somebody's eyes, hey, we can help some people out there. One of the cool things here is, it's a very grassroots. It's not like a huge national brand, right? So that actual people are getting help. This is going to get into people's money, where some of these, bigger corporations, you got question marks on payroll and stuff. So, that's mountainprojects.org. All right, let's get into some actual football. Let's get into some actionable stuff, some things we can talk about tonight. That is the New Orleans Saints heading to take on the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. New Orleans currently a 5.5-point underdog. Kansas City obviously laying the 5.5. Let's look at some. Do you have the updated numbers? Let's see.
Yep, it's still at 5.5. Total still at 43. New Orleans Saints on the money line is plus 190. Chiefs laying it at minus 230.
Beautiful. All right. As always, we will start with the injury preview. We'll look at what these teams are missing, and then we'll talk about how we see this game breaking down and get to our best bets. New Orleans Saints side of the ball, definitely the more beat up team coming in. They have 2 linebackers out, 2 starting linebackers, Willie Gay, who obviously was a longtime Kansas City Chief, so no revenge game for Willie Gay. Pete Werner is also out as well. He is one of their leading tacklers. So 2 kind of big losses there. I mean, he's got more tackles than DeMario Davis. He did play an extra game, but still. Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army knife, is out. Eric McCoy, starting center, is out. He's on the IR. Cesar Ruiz, the starting guard, is out. And then obviously the fantasy darling that never became Kendre Miller is also out. On the Chiefs side of the ball, really nothing new. We'll talk about Rashee Rice, who's obviously out on the IR, now expected to miss the season. We'll get into that a little bit more in a second in our injury rundown segment. Him and Hollywood Brown are obviously out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also out with an illness. Mecole Hardman came into the game beat up. He's banged up with his knee injury, but he will play. So really, Chiefs, nothing new, although they're missing some key wide receivers from the offseason and from last week. All right, brother, how do you see this game going down, and what are your best bets for Monday Night Football?
For sure. Yeah, I honestly, usually I am a sides guy, but I really don't have a great feel for this game in general. I would lean Chiefs, but honestly, I'm staying away from the line itself. But
What the fuck's a
I'm
lean?
all over.
Isn't that
What's
a
that?
tower in Italy? A
Yes,
lean?
exactly.
What's a
Exactly.
lean? Nah,
Yep. But like I said, I'm staying away from the line itself. Total wise, I think this is an ugly game. Honestly, I think both of these defenses have really been doing a pretty good job of keeping offenses out of the end zone most of the season. So I'm going under 43. I see this being like a 20-12 game, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be one of those that I don't know who's going to have 20. I don't know who's going to have 12, but I don't see a whole lot of scoring from either of these teams. Like you said, there's a ton of guys missing on both sides of the ball. The Chiefs definitely have more of those skill guys, but on the Saints side of the ball, defensively, they're starting to look like a shell of themselves. So I'm going the under. Give me Alvin Kamara under 65.5. I just don't think that Chiefs defense and with Chris Jones up front, they're going to allow him to get going a ton. Their offense really runs through Alvin Kamara, and I think Spagnuolo is just going to try to take him away as much as he really possibly can. Give me Justin Watson to have a little bit of a game. Obviously, we have a bunch of injuries at that wide receiver position. Xavier Worthy still is there. But Justin Watson kind of sneaks in there for a couple games each season to begin with. So give me his over 26.5 yards, and then I sprinkled a little bit on his anytime touchdown plus 350. And then on the Saints side of the ball, give me Blake Group, however you say his name, at higher or over 6.5 points at plus 100. So again, kind of just think this is overall just an ugly game. I think there will be quite a few kicks in this game. So give me a kicker over 6.5.
Yeah, no, I think we have a pretty similar view on this one. I will give my John Hancock to your under 43 because I agree. I think it's going to be an ugly game. The Chiefs offense is not the Chiefs offense we're used to. They went out, they have their best wide receiver, and then a guy they signed, they're not there. Mahomes in that offense has looked a bit shaky. You have two starting linebackers out for the Saints. I think they run the ball. I think this is a very big Kareem Hunt game. I talked about him last week. Kareem Hunt is the guy I am targeting in this game. Carson Steele is in the doghouse. Samaje Perine seems to be relegated to a third down back role. Let's be honest. I think that
on that one.
He's familiar with the offense, and Andy Reid, he knows he can trust him. I mean, it's where he got to start. So I really think with him being home, I think Kareem Hunt has himself a game. With going back to the under, Saints offensive line, they're beat up. It's going to be hard to really get a lot going. I agree. I don't think either team's going to really get over, definitely not close to 30, right? That's kind of one of my predictions. So I'm going under 43 there. Kareem Hunt over 55.5 rush yards. He had played one game. He had 69 rush yards, and he really only kind of got inserted like halfway through the game. Once Carson Steele had that second fumble, that's when kind of, they pulled him out and really went with Hunt and got 14 carries. So I expected Hunt to get close to 20 carries. This Saints defense, they're pretty okay against the run, but they're nothing special. And, again, they have two starting linebackers out. So there's going to be guys that are trying to fill run holes, fill gaps that are not used to doing it. The other guys, so you went Justin Watson. My zag to the Chiefs offense is Noah Gray, a guy who's coming off a 40-plus receiving yards game. I'm going to go Noah Gray, 25-plus receiving yards at plus 120. I like his ladder. 40 is like around over 3-1. Obviously, if you want to get crazy and keep going above. But I do think Noah Gray is going to have himself a little bit of a game. They're going to be in a lot of two tight end sets because they don't, frankly, have three wide receivers that they trust. So I like Noah Gray to be on the field early and often, maybe sprinkling a little bit on his first touchdown there as well. And then Chris Jones, over a quarter of a sack at plus 100. Look, this team typically does not give a lot of sacks in New Orleans. I think they've only given up 4 or 6. I can't remember the number here. Let me look for you guys in here. They've only given up 4 sacks all year in 4 games. Obviously pretty damn good.
Yep.
You're missing your starting center. You're missing your guard right next to him. I think Chris Jones is going to absolutely take advantage of that. So I like him over quarter of a sack there at plus 100. And those are the plays. Yeah, I obviously, if I had to lean, I think the Chiefs win this game, right? I do think they win it, but whether they win it by 2, 1, 4, 5, or 10, not really something I feel super confident about it like yourself. So just give me the under and hunt Gray and Jones to have a day.
I like it.
All right, we are going to move into our injury rundown section. So this is where we spend a little bit of time going through the biggest injuries, what we know right now, and how they're going to affect this next week, folks. This is our bread and butter. As healthcare professionals, this is what we do. So if you have any guys that you want to hear about that you don't see on the list or we don't touch on, because we got to move a little quickly here, because obviously we got this game kicking off. We got to make sure
coming up.
We've got the refill on the Jameson, and we're watching our bets cash. But if you got guys you definitely want to know about, drop them in the chat, drop a comment. Of course, we are at YouTube/the Degen Docs. So make sure you check us out there. If you're over on X, definitely jump over to the YouTube, get into the comment section. But let's kick it off, man. Let's start with the biggest news, the news that just broke as we were about to get ready to go live here. Rashee Rice out for the season with an LCL injury. Likely means it's fully torn, or at least enough where he needs surgery. So he's done, for the season. Are you surprised here? What are your thoughts?
No, I'm not terribly surprised. I think everybody was kind of on that ACL tear that, is a lot more common than those other stabilizing ligaments. But if I can just pull this up here, there's an LCL and it's torn. So with that LCL, it's a major stabilizing ligament, more so on the outside part of the knee, as you can kind of see here. The mechanism of injury, the way that Patrick Mahomes came into Rashee Rice's knee wasn't screaming, hey, this is an ACL tear. And especially once they had to do more testing because of all the swelling, that kind of raised some red flags to me that this may not be an ACL. Usually with MRIs, they can pick up ligamentous tears with those cruciate ligaments, especially the ACL. So once that started throwing out red flags, I was thinking, maybe this is more of a PCL, which is a lot stronger than your ACL. Kind of does something similar, just the opposite direction. But those LCL, MCL, PCL for the field testing, we really need a clean knee to be able to test them a little bit more specifically. With ACL testing, it's usually a little bit more reliable. So not too surprised based on the mechanism of injury, how long it took to actually diagnose that injury. But like you said, definitely injured enough to where he'll probably have to have surgery on this. So he'll be out for the rest of the season.
I think the big takeaway here is, look, if the team comes out and says like it's not looking good, or the initial fear is like, not good, just because we have time in between, like Derek said, on the field testing, the Lockman's test, the ACL testing is very, very good, right? It's got a very 98% validity, between 95 98. It's very accurate essentially. So when they think someone has an ACL tear, it's pretty, now obviously this wasn't an ACL, but the structure of the knee, the kind of stability of the knee was compromised, and that was very clear. And that is not something that is going to regenerate on its own. That's going to require surgery, right? So I think, yes, I understand that. Before he got put on IR, people were like, "Oh, it's just a bone bruise, blah blah blah." Like, let's pump the brakes here, man. It was pretty clear that it was a big time injury. You look at his reaction. You look at him getting carted off. You looked at all the reporters saying they initially feared it's going to be season ending. Like, don't just think that, hey, because no news. Also, the second opinion is never a good thing. Right. You don't get a second opinion on a thing that's straightforward. Right. Yeah. So just some takeaways there. Obviously, Rashee Rice out for the season. RIP, one of my fantasy teams, because, man, he was looking like a steal.
No doubt.
And let's see if they can bring that suspension, if they can bring that forward. But all right, let's go on Josh Allen a little bit. It looks like it was a low ankle sprain, pretty minor. Not a whole lot of concerns, but, he definitely almost looked like he got knocked out of that game. I
don't think it was almost. I think he did get knocked out in that game. When he came back, he had a couple balls that were very suspect, even to his standards, we'll say.
I mean, my guy probably was like looking at 4 wide receivers, and it's just all
Exactly.
Kincaid down the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
What color
anytime
am
you
I
got
throwing to? Oh,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. That's pretty bad. I mean,
yeah.
it's not pretty bad. That's really bad. They had to pull out the smelling salts on the sideline just to get this man to wake up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you should probably go take him to the tent, and he should probably, be out of the game. But so obviously that's tough on the NFL. It's a bad look.
For sure.
It was pretty clear that he suffered his head injury. He got evaluated, but I didn't see much
Yeah,
evaluation on the
that
sideline.
AFC East, you might as well just open up like a hospital off to just for the AFC East guys because they're all beat the hell up.
They are beat the hell up. Sticking with the AFC East, Devon Achane. I saw this
Really pressure
live.
there.
I thought based on the reaction, I immediately kind of had some concerns here about how that looks because
Sure.
if you see his reaction, it was not good. Why don't you talk about concussions a little bit? He does have a bye week while I pull this up here.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, let me go back to Josh Allen real quick. With that minor ankle sprain, most likely he'll try to give it a go unless for some reason the NFL starts diving into this concussion thing and he has to pass that protocol. But for Josh Allen, he will most likely go with that minor ankle sprain.
Yeah.
Will definitely be limited. We know he likes to use his legs and scamper around a little bit. So probably will be a little more cautious to do that, but it's hard to say. From a concussion standpoint, the NFL has really kind of cracked down so far this year at allowing these guys to come back the next week. There's a 5-stage process or
Yep.
process,
5-step process.
5-step process, and kind of the end step is to have a full practice before getting back and fully clearing that. So what that would mean is Devon Achane would have to have a full practice most likely by Friday. So what we usually say is, hey, if they're limited in practice Thursday, that's a good sign. Usually if they're limited on Thursday, they will probably be upgraded to a full practice on Friday, but you still have to kind of keep track of those injury reports, dive into kind of those daily rundown reports just to make sure guys do get that upgraded status. If they don't, it's really hard for them to come back unless they, for some reason, just pop up a random practice on a Saturday, which just doesn't happen, especially this early in the season.
Yeah, no, beautiful. Yeah, no, look, guys, if you ever see a player have this reaction where their hand is or their arm is just kind of involuntarily like hanging in the air like this, that's usually not a good sign. I mean, he definitely kind of got knocked out there. So thankfully, it looks like, overall he's going to be okay as far as Devon Achane. His bye week came at a great time for him.
Definitely.
So we'll see.
A great time for the entire team in
for the
general.
entire. Yeah, that's a good point. So Devon Achane likely after bye should be okay, but like Derek said, practice reports, that is a big thing. All right, another guy who's got a bye week is probably lucky, a good timing there. Minnesota Vikings running back Aaron Jones picked up a hip injury, ruled out pretty early in the game.
Yep.
He's going to get an MRI today, so we should get more news. But their initial expectation is that it's going to be minor, so he's got a good chance, but definitely one to watch for there. Let's start bumping around here. Jake Moody, high ankle sprain. Your first kicker we're talking about on the show.
Right.
Look, they lost the game because of it. So this is really quick because Arizona Cardinals plus 7.5 was one of my locks last week. With this year's NFL, if you like a dog, sprinkle some on the money line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy how much they're covering on one side, but just they're also winning outright. We saw the New York Giants, my New York football Giants, baby. Shout out Isaiah Simmons. But Giants won on the money line. We saw the Cardinals win on the money line. Some probably the biggest dogs of the day really come through there. So if you do like the dog side, I encourage you to take them on the money line as well, especially this season. It's playing out well. So anyway, what's Jake Moody, high ankle sprain, expected to miss a couple weeks there. So, if you have Moody, I would definitely drop him, pick somebody else up. I wouldn't really waste an IR spot on a kicker, but if that's your fancy, man, go for it. But yeah, he's going to be out in a couple weeks, probably about 4 to 6. So I would definitely stay away there. Yeah. We got Anthony in the chat here. Cheers, Anthony. Should I trade Keenan Allen for Trey McBride PPR redraft? If you can, fuck yeah. I don't have a lot of optimism for Keenan Allen this year. Caleb Williams, I know he's improving, but Trey McBride, I think, is going to be a focal piece of that offense that whether they're down or up, they're going to be throwing the ball. I mean, we saw it last week. I know he hasn't really excelled so far, but he was a little beat up, but he looked better last week. I think he's getting his own. I think when he starts finding the end zone, he had a ball. Oh, man. Kyler threw him a really nice ball in the end zone, and then he dropped in the back corner. Obviously that would have boosted the stats, but he's getting the opportunity. So for me personally, it's a no-brainer. I'm going McBride. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think so. Keenan Allen has definitely not been that number one wide receiver option in Chicago, probably not even number two receiver option in Chicago. And like you said, Trey McBride was beat up a little bit earlier in the season, starting to make that comeback. And even going back to last season, Trey McBride and Kyler had a little bit of a connection once Kyler came back. So depends, obviously, where you have other guys in terms of wide receivers and tight ends, but I would probably lean towards taking McBride.
You're leaning a lot, man.
I know.
You all right? You're back all right? All right, let's bounce right around here.
Old granddad bourbon that I've been drinking.
Well, yeah, a couple more sips and we might all be leaning. A couple more here. We're going to get to some guys that are expected to return this week. So some good news for some fantasy owners. A.J. Brown, he's come back off that hamstring. Looks like he's going to be ready to play. Eagles are coming off bye, so they're expected to also get Devonta Smith back. I would say Devonta Smith for sure coming off that concussion. He's 3 weeks now. He should be good, as well as Lane Johnson should be good. A.J. Brown, yes, you have the concern. Let's make sure he has a good week of practice. Make sure no re-injuries there, but do expect A.J. Brown back. Also, Evan Ingram coming back from his hamstring injury he picked up pregame. I think week 2 it was. He's expected to be back. Might have been week 1. And then Zay Jones, wide receiver, come back from suspension there. So no injury, just been suspended for, acting a fool. And he should be back this week. All right, we're going to move on, but do you have anyone you want to talk about really quick?
Let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk about a couple of these guys later.
Cool. I would say some of the biggest stuff on defense. Let me just look through really quick. Javon Holland may miss some time. Yep. Denver's right tackle is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Denzel Ward, hamstring, is going to be out some time. Those are probably the biggest. Everyone else right now, we're kind of waiting more information. Hufanga is obviously a huge piece. We're waiting for more information, and the Seahawks are a little beat up. My Giants took it to them. So, all right, folks. Hey, if you missed
what's that
last week, that is right. It is contest time. We premiered this on Thursday. It is our road to 100 subscribers. It is very, very simple. Look, I think we're floating around 70 subscribers right now. So once we hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, we're going to do a random selection. All you have to do to be entered is subscribe and take a screenshot, submit proof. Derek just dropped the Google Drop form in the comment section after the show. We will pin the comment there so it makes sure it shows up. But again, all you have to do, subscribe, get to the form, show us proof that you subscribe, and you'll be entered to win a $100 SGPN gift card. Look, folks, that's $100 right to you, man. You can get some cool shit. Shout out to Jake, who always is doing good stuff on the merch.
Taking a couple minutes, hitting a button, taking a picture of it.
It's very easy. Very easy. Yeah, for the shot at $100, that might be the easiest 100 you ever make. So we're going to continue on. We're going to tell you about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. That is right. We love our friends over at Underdog. They've got Pick'em. They've got drafts. They've got anything you want, and they don't only got NFL. They got college football. MLB playoffs are on. They got MMA if you want to bet on, maybe if you want to have a fantasy projection that Poeton knocks somebody else the heck out, you can do that over there. So you want to use our code SGPN and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It'll be a 50% deposit match. So deposit $2,000, boom, you get up to $1,000. You will get $1,000 in bonus cash. So sign up today with promo code SGPNDocs to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPNDoc. All right, we're keeping this ship moving here. We got kickoff here in about 15 minutes. So we're going to go to our Warriors and Wussies segment. What would you like to take, my friend?
Give me Joe Flacco. Throwing for 359, 3 tutties. And how about the old man getting those legs moving a little bit, running for 22 yards. Running for 22 yards. Joe Flacco, I have no idea. One, let's go back to our bitching hour for a second. Okay. Why the hell does Cleveland not offer this guy a contract? Like you just saw what he did towards the end of the season, bringing them back and getting them in the playoffs. But like, why not at least give the guy a chance?
They're idiots. They're really
Obviously,
dumb.
it may be maybe 2020 is pretty obvious at this point, but like even with the Colts, like that Colts offense looks better with Joe Flacco up to this point than it has with Anthony Richardson. So kudos to Joe Flacco for putting up some numbers. It's amazing how many quarterbacks have not hit that 300 mark this year, and Joe Flacco is just continuing to show his old man strength and that he can still do it at a very, very high level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shout out Joe Flacco, man. He makes games fun to watch too. He's one of the only guys who's thrown for over 300 yards. He was throwing bombs, and look at him scampering, old man Joe Flacco. On the other side, an old man who looks like a fucking old man, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me, man? Crawling on the ground, drama queen. I'm done with Aaron Rodgers. I foolishly backed him last week. And he just looked awful. He looked like a shell of himself. He obviously threw that pick six right to Van Ginkel. The last play of the game, he doesn't get my guy Mike Williams involved all game, and then he wants to throw him a ball at like a back shoulder that he throws right to the cornerback. Oh my goodness! I mean, 54 attempts and only 244 yards. Are we kidding? Come on now. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I don't even think it's the injury. I just think it's his mentality. He's just completely washed. So Aaron Rodgers is an absolute wussy, as he had every opportunity to go win that game, and he just pissed down his leg.
Which was all right for me.
Yes, in your case, that didn't work out. We're going to head to the fantasy space, and we're going to talk about our waiver wire targets for NFL Week 6. Why don't you start with the first 2 or 3, and then I'll finish us off there.
Sounds good. So Kirk Cousins having himself a day on Thursday Night Football, throwing, I think, 400 yards? Or was it 500? I don't know. He threw for a shit ton.
He threw for a shit ton. I'll get you the number here.
He threw for a shit ton against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. And all of a sudden, he's going back to another division rival with Carolina that has an even worse defense. So Kirk Cousins hasn't shown a ton through the first few weeks, but he's starting to find his own in that Atlanta offense. So definitely look to pick him up if you're looking for a quarterback option this week. And then
509 yards, 4 touchdowns.
I thought it was 500, which just never happens. But that's why I was was it 500? Yes, I think it was. But anyways, Tank Bigsby having a heck of a day without Travis Etienne yesterday, going up to Chicago, where Chicago's rush defense has still looked a little suspect. From a passing standpoint, Chicago's been a lot better. So Tank Bigsby had a couple tutties yesterday. Expect him to have another big day. I'll leave one of those New York Football Giants for you to talk about.
Tyrone Tracy. Well, shout out Tank Bigsby, cashed a 2 touchdowns for 28-1. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Tyrone Tracy Jr., man. Devin Singletary out with a a groin injury. Didn't practice much last week. His status is in question for the following week. He's obviously going to be limited even if he does play. And Tyrone Tracy, coming out of Purdue, there was high hopes for him out of camp, and he did it on the ground. He did it through the air. He rushed for over 120 yards. I mean, and the Giants offensive line, for the first time in what seems like forever, is a competent group.
They're looking pretty good so far. Last few weeks, really.
They've been a solid team, and they play, they go up against not Cincinnati Bears, but Cincinnati Bengals defense that's given up 150 yards on the ground. So absolutely easy pickings there. Love Tyrone Tracy. Jalen Tolbert, as much as it broke my heart to see the Lurs get crushed by him and him catch that game-winning touchdown, he looks good. He did look a little gimpy coming up, so we'll have to check his injury status there. But, I mean, obviously he was well enough to catch the game-winning touchdown. Jalen Tolbert, Brandon Cooks is on the IR. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks. So it's going to be Lamb. Obviously, you saw CD and Dak having their own issues there. So Tolbert is a guy that they've been very well stated he's spent extra time with. So he likes Jalen Tolbert. So the Detroit secondary is not that great of a secondary. So I like Tolbert to have some options there. And then Tyler Conklin, he's just getting a lot of volume. I mean, if they're going to throw the ball 50 times, then he's got to throw to someone. It seems like it's Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Tyler Conklin. That's the only guys he wants to throw the ball to. So might as well get involved there. Tight end market is very low right now. So those are our waiver wire targets for NFL Week 6. All right, folks, we are going to get to our early line locks. But before we do that, let me tell you about our friends over at BetUS. That is right, BetUS. They bet with the best. They've been around for more than 30 years. You want to get easy deposit with cryptocurrency and lightning fast payouts. U.S. players, of course, are always welcome. So sign up and deposit $100. You have a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. Automatically elevate how dope you look. Use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. So boom, you deposit $100, you get a shot for a car, and you get a 125% deposit bonus. Go to sportsgamingpodcast.com.
Hey, not once, not twice, but 3 deposits too.
3 times.
Crazy.
Fucking insane. Go to sportsgamingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN, so they know that we sent you. All right. Also, our friends over at Rhythm. That is right, Rhythm. We're talking models, folks. Perk your ears up. We're talking football and we're talking models. We're talking football models, though. Let's not get it confused here. We were talking about our friends Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model or copy one of Rhythm's top performing models. It breaks down that wall. You can have your model. Yes, you too can have your model. It's really cool that we put these Rhythm reads at the back here. Let me finish it off. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Yeah, very cool that they put these at the back of the show, because that's when I know that my Jameson must be empty. Words are starting to slur here. So I'm going to let Derek give you his early line locks for NFL Week 6, and then I will give mine, and we'll get out of here and watch the under cash.
Let's do it. So we got another game across the pond with the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Chicago Bears. The Bears have looked a little bit better over the last couple of weeks, but the Jags may have found something this week. And the Jags, for whatever reason, just tend to play really, really well over in England. So give me the Jags at +2.5. The Colts, I think I kind of went back and forth with the Titans and the Colts, especially with the Titans coming off a bye. But give me the Colts, who are favored by 1, basically a pick 'em here. And then give me Tampa Bay at +1.5. Going up against the Saints, that we will see a little bit more tonight. But again, Tampa Bay has a little bit of a longer timeline here, going up against a short timeline or turnaround with the Saints. So give me the Buccaneers laying 1.5.
Love it. I'll pick up right where you left off. Give me the Bucs on the money line. I had them at +102. Rest disparity, as Derek talked about. I just think they're simply a better team than New Orleans right now, especially with those offensive line injuries. I expect Antoine Winfield, potentially Kalijah Kancey to be back, Trey Palmer to be back, maybe point. McMillan. So they're getting healthier. I think the Saints, I don't think that those guys are going to be back in time coming off a Monday night game for Sunday. So rest disparity there is a key, and I just think they're a better team. Philly laying 9 against Cleveland. We talked about how bad Cleveland is. They're that bad, folks. I know we've talked about dogs have been covering. No. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Lane Johnson, Eagles not looking so good. They're coming off a loss. They're going to come out firing. And then Detroit, -3.5. Again, 2 weeks in a row, Dallas Cowboys have won. 2 weeks in a row, I think they've been very fortunate to get some wins. Some things have bounced their way. I'm not impressed with the Dallas Cowboys. Detroit Lions are coming off of bye week. Cowboys just lost another edge rusher. They're very beat up. Now, the Steelers couldn't exploit it, but who has a great offensive line and who can exploit it? That is the Detroit Lions. So give me the Detroit Lions -3.5. All right, folks. We are going to get you out of here in time for this game to watch these plays cash. Anything for the good people before we get out of here?
Best of luck tonight. If you're trailing us, best of luck. If you're going the other way, I guess best of luck, but I kind of hope that you end up losing all of your money. But anyways, flash that other thing back up there. Follow us on X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and especially YouTube. If you follow us on YouTube, share it out. Yes, take a picture, enter the contest, get into a chance to win $100 towards that SGPN merch store.
As my wonderful co-host mentioned, yes, follow us and then definitely subscribe to YouTube. It takes 2 seconds. You might be listening on YouTube right now. That's youtube.com/the Degen Docs. Subscribe, show us proof, and boom. We want to give away these $100. So let us get to 100 and we are going to give it away. So we want to, you could be the one to benefit. So definitely
as soon as it hits 100, it's cut off. So
it's cut off,
get it in
folks.
early and often.
That's what I'm saying. We're right around 70 here. So just 30 more and we're popping over. So definitely get in there. And yeah, as Derek said, good luck if you're tailing. If not, fuck you. All right. Hey, you know what they say, folk. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And the Degen Docs have your prescription. From us here at the Degen Docs, we are out of here.
Let it ride.
What's up, Degens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, let it ride, baby.